Is that a bunch of feedback right there? Good morning, Dr. Nisley. Can you hear me okay? No? I'm trying to find that sweet spot between where you can hear me and we don't get all that feedback. Arlene will find it for me. Well, it's great to see everybody back on campus. I think they do this to me on purpose so I can't move around. They'll make me sit in one spot to do that. So we want to start out this morning with introductions as we've done in the past. We've actually got quite a few new folks here at the college this year. And so I'm going to ask the members of the President's Cabinet to introduce their new employees. I'm actually going to start. I have 3 introductions to make. Boy, that's really pretty bad, isn't it? I'm going to need this eventually. Oh. Maybe that's what it does when you're all talking. No. So, okay, well, we'll work through this, and it could be, too, that I got this other mic right there. Does that sound better? No? Well, could be the presenter, right? Maybe that's what it is. So, well, we'll do our best here. So I want to start off. I have 3 introductions on the President's Cabinet, and the first person I'd like to introduce is our new Vice President of Administration and Finance, Rick Johnson. Where are you, Rick? Stand up for me. There he is. Rick is a Wyoming boy, born in Rawlins, correct? Worked for the University of Wyoming for some time, running their auxiliary services, spent some time with NCAR, UCAR, and most recently comes to us after serving in the Lead School of Business at CU Boulder. So welcome, Rick. It really is a bad microphone.
How about this? Does this sound any better? Okay, we're going to go with this.
Whether it does or doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, any better? Worse? Well, we're going to do our best. I'll have to use my my front of the classroom voice, and we'll do the best that I can, and hope you can hear me. So, continuing with our introductions, the second person I want to introduce is Tammy Mays. Tammy, where are you at? Stand up for me.
Check.
Tammy is our new Executive Director of Human Resources here at the college in week 3, correct? So right new with us. She comes to us most recently from the Wyoming Military Department, where she served as the Chief of Staff, and we're tickled to have her here. So welcome, Tammy. And then I have one introduction of people that we already know, but who have assumed a new role. Terry Harper, where are you at, Terry? Stand up. Terry is stepping in and serving as our interim Vice President of Academic Affairs. So thank you, Terry. And now I'm going to turn over to James Malm. Where are you at, James? Over here to introduce our new folks at the Laramie County campus. Thanks, James. Judy.
Thank you. We have several people in student services. This is bad too? Okay, well, we'll see. Destiny Bassino comes to us from the East Coast, and she's a new advisor. Thank you, Destiny. Gail Eckert, I saw you, Gail. She is in the records office, and she's helping us out for a year. Thank you. Bryn Elliott. Some of you know Bryn. Bryn is our disability services coordinator. Kendall Mark she's filling in for our admissions rep that is out on family leave, and she's going to be with us again for a year to help out in our transition. Thanks. And Nick Marlin is admissions rep, and some of you know him because he was a tutor in the Success Center. Allie McCown, she has a new job just about every year, and so she has taken on the role of leading our journey to the one-stop center, that when we open up the new building, we will be reorganized into a one-stop center, and she's going to be the leader of that. Scott Noble, where did he go? Oh, there he is. Scott Noble is our Director of Athletics and Campus Recreation. Megan Shiflett, where's Megan? There she is, okay, in the yellow. And Megan is our new athletic trainer. And so she's been busy already this year. She's started really digging in a couple weeks ago. Amanda Widup has been with our TRIO program. She's an advisor. And next to her is Trista Wood. She also has been helping out with the TRIO program as an assistant. Thanks, Trista. And finally, we have Stephanie Zamora, who is the assistant in the advising center. So thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Joe. Let me just suck a little bit of helium from my balloon here. Now, doesn't that just sound like what you would expect? Okay. I have a lot of folks. We have a lot of new faculty in the academic affairs area, and I would like to introduce those in the School of Business and Technical Studies first. So, Computer Information Systems faculty, Maura Hadaway. Account
We have a familiar face, Brian Boatwright. We have a lot of new faculty in the School of Health Science and Wellness. First of all, we have a new interim dean. Say your name, please, stand. Program Director for Dental Hygiene, Karen Shipley. Dental Hygiene faculty, Stacy Hasinger. Exercise Science, Nick Robertson and Katie Ruff. New Director for Surgical Tech, Connie Sarnecki. Physical Therapy Assistant Program, Celeste Enzi. We have three nursing faculty that are new, Jenny Wolf, Constance, and Karen Clark Bond. Please stand. We also have a new career services specialist in the HIT program, Anne Siebert. Inherent we have AD Daniel Powell. In the music area, Beth King. Ryan Howard. English department, Rachel Boyne. Bonnie Booth. Mass media, Jacob Sherlock. English, Lindsay Hammond. Math and science, we have a new math instructor, Haji Day. Microbiology, Courtney Spreewood. Chemistry, Stephanie Fieber-Blake. Developmental math, Heather Morrow. Human services, Russ Tafoya. In the workforce and development arena, we have Lakshmi Mahmood, our new director for the Center for Secondary Students. Christy Gordel, new program manager for Life Enrichment. Rhonda Priest, new program manager, CPN program. Evan Lynn, adult basic education instructor. Angela Mossman, new coordinator for Gear Up. Adam Kaiser, Gear Up program manager. And finally, in the Center for Learning Technology, Laura Sigsbury, the new technical support specialist. And that is it for academic affairs. Thank you. Test 1 2 1 2 3 4. Test 1 2 1 2 3 4.
Thank you, Lauren. Good morning, everybody. We've got 4 people in administration and finance. I'd first like to introduce Jamie Spezzano, the new director of procurement and contracting. Jamie, Larry. We got 3 people from the Child Discovery Center, 2 associate teachers. I'll start out there. Tammy Broom. Second associate teacher, Jenny Moore. And lastly, our final person, a teacher in the Child Discovery Center, Susan Cantor.
Okay, can you hear me? They're telling me it's me. I was the variable that entered into the equation and was causing the issues. We'll see if I move it away. How's that? No? So they say it's wonderful up in the front. We'll do our does that sound better? No! Still nothing back there, huh? That's what you get for sitting in the back of the classroom, right? It sounds like we've overloaded the technology in this room.
So if I present from down there, we'll see. Is that any better?
No.
So you can't hear me back there?
We can, but it's not good.
If I leave, is that going to be even worse probably, huh? Yeah, I don't know. What's that? A little better?
No.
So if I move back here, does it stay okay?
No.
I'm hearing it's good enough, so we're gonna work with it. Yeah, good. Don't touch it, right? Oh, she's getting a touch of it.
That didn't taste nice.
You can hear my heartbeat as well as my voice, so. Well, we apologize for that. Thank you for bearing with us. Why don't you all join me one more time in welcoming all the new faculty and staff. I know I've said this in the past, but the start of the academic year is one of my favorite times of the year in higher education because of the energy and the excitement that you all bring to the campus, as well as the energy, the excitement, and just a teeny tiny little bit of stress that our students come bring with them here as well. But it's a time of new beginnings, new opportunities, and it always makes me proud to be part of an institution like LCCC at the start of an academic semester. So thank you. I want to start by making just a couple other introductions. The first introductions that I want to make are our board of trustees who are here, and I hope I caught them all while they're here. Bill Du Bois, if you could stand and wave or just wave from the front. Trustee Carol Merrill in the back corner over there. And then the chairman of the board of trustees, Ed Mosier. Where did you sneak off to? There you are. Did any of the other trustees sneak in without letting me know? Okay, I want to make sure I didn't miss them. I'm going to invite the chairman up here to give some opening remarks in just a second. But we also have a special guest. I want to introduce Representative Jim Bird. Jim, if you would stand for us. One of our fine elected officials from Laramie County. You know, last year was a bit bittersweet because we lost Jim's mother not too long ago, who had an amazing impact on the state of Wyoming. And I know it's sad for many of us to hear of her passing, but Jim, she is certainly going to be remembered, and her legacy is something that Wyoming will always benefit from. So thank you for being here, Representative Bird. So now I'd like to invite Ed Mosier, the chairman of the Board of Trustees, to come up and just give some opening remarks.
We'll see if this is going to work for me. Sounds like it. I have about 30 pages of notes here. Dr. Schaefer indicated that I could speak for 5 minutes, and I said, once I get the mic, you try and get it back. Well, to say welcome is really not the word I'd like to use this morning. And I quite honestly don't know what the word is, but it is just plain awesome to look out and see the room full of folks who are going to work with our students this coming year. I know many of you have been here for several years. Some of you, we could say decades. And that's pretty awesome. I was looking, you know, if you think back, this institution got started in 1968-69 with bond elections and holding classes downtown. And I think about, I was fortunate enough to start here in 1977, and it took me that long to get up here to the podium to speak. So one of the things you're teaching your students is persistence, and I hope they will learn from that. But it is truly a pleasure to be here before you today. It's a pleasure for me to be here representing the trustees. I feel very privileged to have their support as chair of the board. It is a great experience to work with you folks, to work with the administration, and to work throughout the state. I've had the pleasure of working with the 49 trustees throughout the state of Wyoming, and I just had the pleasure of working with some of those folks yesterday. Dr. Schaefer was kind enough to come by and pick me up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we made our travels to our favorite place, Casper, Wyoming, and had a chance to visit with some wonderful people who you all know, representatives on the Joint Appropriations Interim Committee. And that was very enlightening, and it continues to be an exciting challenge for us to communicate the needs our students have and to share that with legislators and hopefully move forward in getting the kind of funding that will allow us to do consistent planning to meet the needs of students throughout the state of Wyoming, and of course in particular here in Laramie County and Albany County, part of our district. And I am not belittling Albany County. Remember, Albany County has the pleasure this year of having two folks who are very powerful in the legislature, Kermit Brown, Representative Kermit, and Senator Nicholas. So those folks, we appreciate your efforts in Albany County and working with your legislators. Well, let me get to what I really wanted to focus on most specifically today, and that is you and the fact that you'll be providing opportunities and challenges. I really want to emphasize that, not just the opportunities, but you're going to be providing challenges for our students that they could have never predicted, that they never could have projected that they will experience. It's going to be beyond their dreams. I know you are the folks who will bring that forward. And I'm not talking to the faculty, I'm talking to all of you, because you and I all understand that whether it's an administrator, whether it's an advisor, whether it's faculty, doesn't matter. The students are really impacted by the relationship they have one-to-one and with us as a group here at the college. So I look forward to those challenges you're going to present to our students. I know you will be there for those students, and I know that you will be doing the things that benefit our students not only today, but in the future. The board has some specific things that we're interested in, and I know sometimes you wonder what the role of the board is and what the board's actually doing. There are some folks who come to our board meetings and they're exciting, maybe not, but they are very interesting. And we have folks who come and attend those, your representatives from Faculty Senate, students has an ex officio member who's on the board. We have representative ex officio from Albany County. So we have a number of people who come to the board meeting and share information and try to help us make good decisions for Laramie County Community College. One of the things that the board is focusing on this year, working with Dr. Schaefer, is moving forward with regards to facilities. And he is going to speak a little bit more in depth about that, but let me tell you that facilities are so important for our students. It isn't the fact that we need anything more than a box in many cases to teach. I taught many, many years ago at Central High School when we were put on split shifts, and we basically had boxes we were teaching out of to some degree. And for a couple of years, let me tell you, when we moved to the new building, we were missing the struggles and the challenges of those old buildings and trying to make that work. And that's what you find with students. I'll bet even in some of your classrooms, some of the labs that are not the best, it's what you do and what your students do that really make that work. But we're going to keep trying to provide you the best facilities that we possibly can. And I'm really excited about the Flex Tech and the Student Services Building, which I know are creating some inconveniences. We have to walk a little further. Let me tell you, I need to walk a lot further, but we'll be moving forward with those. In addition, investing in you. We want to make sure that we find ways to help you do your job. We want to make sure that we're not impeding your ability to fulfill the needs of our students. So we're going to continue to invest and hopefully find even better ways to help you serve our students. Third, we would like to strengthen and enhance what we've been offering in terms of articulation with other institutions. And I know that people are going to say, well, it's because you come from that division, you're going to tout them, and they've been touted before, but let me tell you, the whole college has been touted at meetings throughout the state in terms of your work with the University of Wyoming. And let me say, the University of Wyoming was nudged, I think it was a pretty strong nudge by the legislature, to build a relationship with community colleges in terms of facilitating transfer and enhancing the opportunity for students to graduate within that 4-year time frame to truly do the 2+2. And with that nudge from the legislature, and the University of Wyoming heard it loud and clear, they have been working much better, as most of you know, with us. And we're in the sandbox, we're all playing, and I think we're playing pretty well. That doesn't mean it's going real simple. There are challenges out there. I think our college is doing extremely well. I hear from trustees and others that some things are not so comfortable. But let me say, it is progress being made, and it's not always pretty. I think the legislators said something yesterday that I appreciated. They said, you're here seeing the sausage made. No, that was Paul Young, president of Sheridan College, who was talking about that. And I think he was correct. It is kind of like making sausage sometimes. In addition to articulation with the institutions, not only in this state, but throughout, in trying to make it better for our students to move on to those places and be successful, we want to implement and plan and set up a process to review compensation and benefits. We want to find a better way to let you folks know that we care about you. Not only do we want you caring about our students and the community, but we want you to know that we care about you. And the board is very interested in seeing us move forward in enhancing our efforts in not only obtaining quality folks, and boy, there's a lot of new folks here today, but we also want to maintain those folks who are here and retain you. It's not good for an organization to be constantly looking for folks, so turnover is not something we want. We want to see you folks here, happy and working hard to help our students, and we're going to do everything we can to facilitate that. We also want to continue to focus on communications. Some of you know that we had a pretty rough patch for a number of years, and I think we've made some progress, but we need to make more progress, and that's something we also are going to continue to pay attention to. And I, for one, would remind you that this board has said many times and continues to say, if you've got questions, talk to leadership. Don't talk to, no, we didn't say that. We tell you, you're more than welcome to talk to us. We want to work together to solve these problems. They don't get solved overnight, as most of you know, and some of them, I think, present just unbelievable challenges to us. But the point is, we want to take on those challenges. We do want to make it better. We do not want to ignore them. We feel that that's critical to benefiting students. We do not want communications issues to be an issue for our students. In the end, I'd like to say that the board is here to help and to serve both the internal and the external folks that we work with, our stakeholders in-house and out-of-house. There are critical educational opportunities that are before us, and I hope that you will help us continue to pursue and benefit students in achieving those in our community college district. I think maybe I should give up the mic. Joe hasn't moved from left to right too many times yet, but I think he's about ready to share some additional good information. Let me take just final moment here, Joe. I noticed he was leaning a little bit, so I thought I'd kind of call that. I get the opportunity, as many of you do not, and some of my fellow board members get to see this, but in the past few years and watching this college interact with decision-making entities, whether it be leads, whether it be the chamber, whether it be legislators, legislative committees, or whatever. The group of folks, including you, having worked, I spent some time with WA this summer. I spent some time with folks from other groups. Let me tell you, LCCC is definitely not just for me to stand up here, blah, blah, blah. You are out there in front. You're leading the way. You're showing how it can be done. And yeah, we stumble and fall just like anybody else, but we're getting up and fighting back. So thank you very much for allowing me to share a few minutes with you. And I'm really excited about a great year. I'm looking forward to the students being back here and to allowing Joe to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, you all know that he and I could sit up here and do this all day, but that's probably cruel and unusual punishment to make you sit too long. So without further ado, we'll jump right into the State of the College address. This is the third opportunity I've had to present to you, the faculty and staff, the state of LCCC. And it's always exciting to see both the challenges, the opportunities, as well as the progress this campus is making. So let me start, as I've done in the past, with just some of the fiscal, the budget picture, the budget outlook for the coming year, as well as into the future. You know, we have quite a few new folks here, so I thought I'd start with just a real high-level overview to talk about our funding and our expenditures from the very highest level. When it comes to funding our operations, we essentially get revenue from three different sources. The state, through a block grant appropriation that the Community College Commission allocates, it gives us about 50% of all the funding that we operate on. Then we receive about 30% of our funding from local appropriations. So that's our 4 mil and 1 mil that comes from the Community College District, which is Laramie County. And then we receive about 20% from student tuition and fees. And that really comprises the money that we have to allocate towards our operations. From an expenditure side, it's really pretty simple. The majority of our revenue goes to people. It goes to people. And in fact, this number is actually somewhat low. We tend to border on 65 to 75% of all of our expenditures in personnel, wages, benefits, salaries, and to do that. And that's why when we talk about budget and budget development, what we're really talking about is how we deploy great folks like you to help us meet the mission. The other 35% of our operations is focused on general operating and expenditures that you do on a daily basis, as well as equipment acquisition. So pretty straightforward. So as we look into this year, the coming year, it's not a very exciting picture when it comes to revenue. State funding is essentially flat. In fact, going into this biennium, we saw a slight decrease in standard budget funding for the community colleges, and there's really no change mid-biennium. Our local funding is sort of a mixed bag. Here in Laramie County, valuation for property is actually up. So from a local Laramie County perspective, it's relatively strong. Unfortunately, what happens in other counties also impacts the revenue that LCCC receives, because those local funds are essentially captured by the state to the Community College Commission and then reallocated based on a formula. So although we're up and that helps in some areas, other districts are down, and that actually resulted in essentially a net wash for the college from a local funding perspective. The other thing that I want to point out in regards to local and state funding and how it's allocated, more and more of our funding is being based on performance. So for example, in this fiscal year, we received $1.4 million of one-time funding from the legislature that's based on successful course completions. And there's challenges with that. Certainly any of you that have compared a 4-credit anatomy and physiology class to a 1-credit racquetball class, you would probably say those maybe aren't equivalent. Currently in the model they are. An A is an A is an A, a B is a B is a B. And we received about $1.4 million of the $7.5 million that were available this year based on that. The other piece that we're seeing is about $10 million of the money that the commission allocates based on course completed credit hours. And it gets a little bit more confusing, but essentially the credit hours that are derived from passing grades in the classroom is starting to drive the amount of money that comes to the community colleges. Now, fortunately, LCCC has really been picking up their stride in the past 3 years, and we've seen increases in both the overall successful course completions and the overall the volume of successfully completed student credit hours, and that is benefiting us some in this fiscal year. From a tuition and fee perspective, the Laramie Community College Commission sets tuition for all of the community colleges in the state, and there is no tuition increase for this year. Now, and I'll talk about this in a second, we have had declining enrollment, and as a result of that, we've had to downgrade our revenue projections from tuition. So it's kind of a double whammy. No increase and a decrease in enrollment means a decrease in overall tuition revenue. What I'm proud about in the work that so many of you have done, though, is that hasn't stopped us from investing in our priorities. And in fact, going into this year, we reallocated $1.7 million of existing internal funds after all that other stuff was taken care of from external funding to invest in our priorities. So I want to talk about that real quick. As the chairman said, one of the first places we're doing is investing in people. So going into this year, we've actually added 4 new full-time equivalent, or 5, I'm sorry. 3 faculty, a student services position, and a position I'll talk about here in a second. We did offer and put on the table a 1% cost of living adjustment for our benefited regular employees. 1% isn't much, and I recognize that, but given the revenue picture, the fact that there was no state-funded pay increase for community colleges going into this year, for us to even be able to set 1% took a lot of dedication of many folks around the campus and a commitment by the Board of Trustees. We're going to continue to do what we can for our faculty and staff. And then the rest of investment, there's an increase in your retirement contributions entirely by the state and the college. We're investing in educational advancements and paying for those of you that advance your education. Increased benefits in regards to picking up, for example, our short-term disability benefit, and then professional development. We continue to invest in professional development for you. We're investing in areas that impact students the most. In fact, 63% of all of our operating budget goes to the areas of instruction, student services, academic support, and scholarship. Those are the areas that we believe touch students the most. And 63% is great, but we've set a target of 70%. So we still have some room to grow there to make sure more and more of our budget goes to those areas. We're investing in innovation. This will be the 3rd year that we've offered the Innovations Funds program. We set aside $100,000 to fund innovative proposals from any of you, and really look forward to seeing some of those proposals submitted. The other position I referenced, we're actually investing in, I believe we're now calling it an institutional projects coordinator. I have it as project management coordination here. One of the things that higher ed has been lamented of being not very good at, we're very good at creating ideas. We're very good at reading research. We're very good at coming up with the goals and the aspirations. We do not do so well at executing on those goals. And one of the things is we don't have a very coordinated approach of how we implement and manage change. And so we've been working for the last couple of years on structuring a project management process for the college. It's essentially a change management process and actually investing in a resource that will help all of you coordinate the way we implement change. And then, of course, as we've done in the past, we've invested in one-time requests going into this year. And then, as the chairman said, we're also investing in our facilities. It's sort of a mixed bag right now. On one hand, our facilities look great. Don't they look great right now? The grounds and the facilities. Well, yeah. You guys are doing great work keeping them up. On the other hand, we've got those 2 little messy construction spots on campus right now. And as the chairman said, we're going to have to work through that this year. But what an exciting time to be on campus and to be part of really a physical transformation here at LCCC. So we're investing in that, deferred maintenance and facilities planning. So from a state of our finances perspective, right now, LCCC is strong. I mean, I really have no worries. Our current operations are investing where they need to be investing. We're still putting money on the table to target those priorities. Where we need to, our reserves are strong as well. So we're really in a strong fiscal point. As we look into the future, though, it gets a little bit scarier. Many of you have probably been tracking what's happening with the natural resources and energy industry right now, and I can tell you that there's many people very, very concerned about state revenues into the future. In fact, I heard from some staff at the Capitol that for every $5 below $50 a barrel of crude, Wyoming crude, the state loses $35 million over the course of a fiscal year. Right now, I think Wyoming crude is at $35 a barrel. So we're already 15 bucks below. That's about $105 million in essentially lost revenue for the state. And so that's big. That's just oil. That's not talking coal and all those other things. So there is a lot of concern about long-term state revenues. And then, of course, all the debate over how we use the state's short-term and long-term investments and rainy day funds. So we need to watch that. As the chairman mentioned yesterday, we spent the day up in Casper at Casper College listening to a subcommittee of the Joint Appropriations Committee discussing community college funding. And we've had a sincere interest in trying to provide some stability with the way we approach our funding, especially with this volatile enrollment growth piece. The initial legislation leaves a lot to be desired. And I think the committee has the best interests of the state and even trying to understand the community colleges. But if legislation as it's currently proposed were to move forward, it would all but disincentivize and defund things like online learning, concurrent enrollment, dual enrollment activities, and numerous other things. Would require legislative approval of all academic programs. So when you talk about trying to be responsive to needs, unfortunately, the legislature does not move fast. And so there's some serious questions and challenges facing us just from a legislative side. And then, of course, we have to think about, well, what does that all mean then for affordability? And as we see funding decrease in other places, we have to do a couple of things. Well, three things. Find new efficiencies to free up money, reduce program services. Remember, 65% are in people. So when we say reduce programs and services, we oftentimes have to talk about reducing people, or we have to increase tuition and fees. Now, there is a strong argument to be made that Wyoming, with how affordable it is, can actually increase the tuition and fee structure. There was one major concern I had about doing that, and that was the fact that as a state, and certainly as institutions, we had not set aside enough money for need-based financial aid. So it's one thing if you can afford the tuition increase. It's another thing, though, if you can't. Fortunately, we've done a lot of work in these last couple of years to take those scholarship dollars and make sure we're putting money on the table for people of need. So when we do increase tuition, for those that can afford it, great. For those that can't, we actually have a resource to put to them. In addition, our foundation has been exceptionally strong, coming off of a boomer year for contributions. The allocations, as long as the market holds, we'll see, are strong. And so we really do have a lot of resources and opportunities for our students if we have to go down that road of tuition. So let me shift a little bit and talk about enrollment and completions. Most of you know that LCCC has faced declining enrollments over the past few years. It's not something uncommon to community colleges. I would say it's probably been more amplified in the communities like Laramie County, Natrona County, Casper, and those areas who have really been hit by the job market. But we are seeing that downward trend, and it's significant. Now, you guys probably know this, and I'll show them here for you. It is not uncommon during economic downturns for enrollment in higher education, specifically community colleges, to increase. And if you just track our enrollment over time and overlay these recessionary periods, you can see some of that. And afterwards, we see some leveling off or some decreases in a few cases. We saw exceptional enrollment increases at LCCC starting just after 2000, after a small recession there, and all the way through the Great Recession, and now we've been tapering off. I don't know that the taper is completely recessionary, although it's a significant decrease coming off of a significant recessionary period, but it's something that we need to be watching. This graph just shows you essentially what's happening across our delivery modalities and locations, and everybody's feeling it. The Cheyenne campus may be a little bit more, but even the Albany County campus, distance learning, concurrent, other sites, we're all seeing that decrease. And when we look at the enrollment statistics, it's really across the board. And trying to identify what specifically is happening is very difficult. Just quickly, I received this graph from Institutional Research this morning, in fact, and I wanted to put it in. This shows just fall enrollment by week. For the yellow bar is 2013, the red is 2014, and then we have 2015 as the blue. We've sort of caught up to where we were last year. Part of that may have been the way we handled enrollment and payment drops and things like that, but we'll see. But we're really trying to catch up, and we're starting off behind from previous years. So here are some of the things that I think are impacting us, and they're worth talking about. The first is just the employment rate and understanding that. In June, the unemployment rate in the Cheyenne Metropolitan Statistical Area was 3.7%. So it was estimated in June that there were only 1,800 people unemployed. Now, if you take that as a percent of the entire population of Cheyenne, that's 3%. That's not the working population, that's the entire population of Cheyenne. So only 3% of the population in this community isn't working, and that's without taking in those that are, sort of structurally unemployed and will be unemployed. So when we talk about just recruiting from the community at large, it's a relatively small group of folks that aren't engaged in the labor force. Now, in high school and in our high schools, we actually are doing really well. In Wyoming, I think it's 68% of the high school graduates going to college. And that places us either first or second in the nation. I think North Dakota maybe has beat us in terms of the college going rate. And that's pretty impressive. And we've grabbed a fair share of the graduates at our 3 primary colleges. Albany County 1, we've got about 21% over the last 5 years. District 2, 43%. Some years we've had over half of their graduates come to LCCC, and then in District 1, 34%. So we're doing pretty well there, but I think we've got room to grow. And that's why those relationships that the chairman spoke about with the high schools and the partners are so critical, because we need to grab a larger share of those students moving on to higher education. So here's the impressive thing in my mind. So this shows essentially the degrees and certificates this institution has conferred over the last 10 years. And it's one thing to see increases in completion when enrollment's increasing, you have more students coming in, of course you're going to have more. But what's impressive is we've had double-digit enrollment decreases, and yet at the same time we've had 2 record-setting graduating classes. I mean, that is impressive work to be able to do that. Imagine what we will do when we start to see that enrollment swing back up again. So while enrollment is certainly something we need to look at, I don't want you to lose sight of the fact that you're doing great work and our students are succeeding at rates they never have. 72% increase in the credentials that we've awarded in 10 years. 72%. That's pretty impressive. All right, so let's move to our report card. This is one of the things that's fun to talk about, the institutional report card. I get people that say, it's great, I'm glad that you guys are doing it. I get people that are adamantly opposed to getting grades, which I find somewhat contradictory, but I won't go into that right now. But really, a report card is a derivative and really a component of measuring how effective we are and successful we are as an institution. So you'll hear the term KPI. We've essentially established 9 key performance indicators. We have a series of efficiency indicators and a series of effectiveness indicators. Plain and simple, all these things are sort of the things we monitor to figure out if we're meeting our mission, and how well we're doing and where we should be focusing and putting our attention. And I'll go through these here. Each indicator has a series of measures associated with it. I'm going to kind of gloss over it. I know that institutional research publishes this. You'll actually be getting elements of this through a variety of areas. The KPIs have been integrated into our budget development and allocation process. They're integrated into academic program review, non-academic program review, human resource prioritization. So you will get to know these measures and these indicators more and more during your time here. So the first one is student participation and achievement, where we look at students' enrollment patterns and also their achievement patterns. And for last year, we got a C. And it's sort of a mixed bag, to be honest with you. Enrollment is an issue, as I just said, that we're dealing with. But there are some bright spots I want to point out. Our fall-to-fall persistent rates, retention rates, those that come here this fall and will show up next fall, have been increasing both for full-time and part-time students. And I can tell you, when community colleges start encroaching on that 60% retention rate from fall to fall for full-time students, we're doing well. Most universities are high 60s to 70s. Most community colleges are low 50s to high 40s. So we're making the right stride. And then at the bottom, the enrollee success rate. That's what I was referring to. That's the actual percent of your students who succeed in their class. And for 3 years, we've been moving in the right direction, getting more and more of those students to actually be successful. So we'll have to watch the enrollment, but we're doing better in some areas. Academic preparation. So this looks at everything from our enrollment in high school equivalency programs to our success and developmental coursework. Similarly, last year we got a C. We lost some ground in some areas, and really are kind of working on things, I think, to remedy that. The one piece that I want to point out, though, is for our high school equivalency folks, we had 51% of folks that went through our GED and high-step programs here. I see Adam and Don and those folks over there. 51% came on to college. 51% of a population of students that we don't even expect to finish high school or high school equivalency, and they came to college. So there's a bright spot that you can see. There's some of those ugly Ds and some areas where we really have to roll up our sleeves this year and get to work. Transfer prep, this is really a bright spot in so many ways, and some of it is reflective of the work we've been doing with our university partners. But we moved up and have a B in this area again, and when you look at the number of transfer degrees, the degree productivity, as well as our initial success after transfer, the GPA of those students, we're moving in the right direction. Now, if you look at the bottom line where you have graduation after they transfer as a D, and people have already asked me, say, well, what's the difference? Why do we have a D there, but yet the success after transfer in terms of GPA is doing okay? And all I can say is it has to do with time lag. So we're tracking students who have made that transfer and posted a GPA. We haven't tracked them to see if they'll finish their degree 4 years afterwards. My guess is we're going to see that measure continue to improve as we focus on that transfer alignment. Workforce development, this looks at credit, non-credit participation in degrees and certificates and programs that are intended to help people either enter the workforce, advance in the workforce, or maybe be more successful in the workforce. The C grades that you see are a result predominantly of enrollment again, but we really have some bright spots here too, leading to our B score in terms of the enrollment in non-credit workforce courses, our workforce degree, and our in-field job placement. So we're doing really good work there, and we continue to post a positive grade of a B there. Still some areas to improve, but we're on the right track. Community development, this really ranges from a variety of things, from participation in our enrichment activities, our cultural series, and all of those great things. This has been a strong area for us, and it actually is even a stronger area this year, posting some wonderful A grades in customized training, participation in our enrichment courses, and what we're doing with our cultural activities. Really, really a positive push forward. Now we shift to the efficiency indicators. So those first ones were effectiveness. How effective are we actually meeting our mission, doing these things? Then the second question we have to ask is, well, how efficient are we in actually doing that work? So it's one thing to start posting wonderful graduation, transfer, and all that thing. But if we're doing that and it's costing so much it's going to break the bank, then we have to take a look at how we do better. And we've seen some fair trends here as well. Instructional productivity, essentially, we're looking at things like average credits to completion, average time to completion, faculty to student ratios, things like that. And we've got some positive pieces in here that are worth looking at. One that I think is really impressive is our average credit to completion decrease, which is good. So when that goes down, our grade goes up this year, which means that we were getting more students to complete. What's interesting is if you look at that, our average credits to completion was just under 50. And I'm not sure what that is. If we got more of our students to complete a certificate as a credential, if we had more students who came in and as transfer students and we got them to succeed, I'm not sure. But that was sort of interesting and something that we'll continue to look at as we move forward. Fiscal stewardship. So this is one, when the first year we rolled this out, I think we actually had a D or an F, if I remember correctly. We'll see here in a second. And we've really been making strides, investing more in instruction, investing more in those areas that impact student services, trying to watch our investments in completion. The one area we still have some work to do here is our expenditures per FTE. And that's essentially a result of we have about the same money and we have fewer students. So of course, we're going to be spending more per student. So, we'll watch that. We're certainly not going to give money back. We're going to keep doing what we can for the students we have, but it's one area that we'll have to watch. And so we've made some strides there and have a B. College affordability, this just looks at what are we doing for scholarships, financial aid, how are we setting our tuition and fee structure. The one that I have to point out here, so I don't take flack from the foundation folks, is last year where they had a grade that I won't say, Lisa, to this year, an A. Look at, they brought $1.68 million into the foundation last year. Sometimes these grades can motivate us like they motivate students, right? So really moving in the right direction. Then the last one is campus climate. And as Sherman said, this is one we've been working on both for our students as well as all of you. And again, there's a lot of areas we need to work here. You can see we've got a bunch of C's and we've got a handful of B's. And then we've got some of those Ds we simply need to be working on. The couple things that I do want to point out is we've corrected to the right way. If you remember 2 years ago, we had about 11, almost 12% departure rate of our employees. Last year we were at 7%, which is right about the middle of the pack for all the community colleges that we compare ourselves to. We're making the right trend there. And then student engagement on one of the SESI measures, so we measure student engagement, we've made some great strides in academic challenge. So kudos to you faculty that are really finding ways to challenge our students. For those of you that are working with them outside of the classroom, same thing, and we're starting to see some of those positive trends there. So all right, so we've been doing this for 3 years. And the first year, much to a lot of people's chagrin, and I heard about it, we posted a C grade. Last year, we posted a C grade and we're doing well. But this year, you guys broke that threshold. Your efforts are paying off, and we're starting to see that as an institution. And I tell you what, we have a lot of areas to improve going into even next year. Some areas that we're going to have to watch. And so what's happening and that's causing this? You know, what can we attribute to it? Is it just randomness? Is it hard work? What's helping us move along? And I have to say, it's really the way that this campus has dug in, rolled up their sleeves, and tackled tough things in the past year. And we've got a little video that I want to show you called This is LCCC.
Mandatory orientation and a college introductory course are designed to prepare students for the college life and specifically set them up for success at LCCC.
This is a early engagement, high impact practice that is showing that connecting with students right at the beginning is going to make them more successful. So this mandatory piece is for all of our new students coming in, and they learn about resources. They get connected with not only students, fellow students that are going to be in their classes, but also staff and other people who are going to help them through the process. So we're building relationships within the community and within our local high schools to get our students in the door and let them know that we want to set them up for success.
Holistic advising provides relationship building between student and advisor and ensures that students receive a clear and structured pathway to graduation.
I am a strong believer in the advising model. I like that it's a case management model where we not only get to work with a student in the beginning, but we're working with that exact same student the entire time that they're here. We build a relationship with the student, and they have someone that they know and that hopefully they trust. That they feel like they can reach out to rather than going through this process by themselves. For example, I had a student that had a really rough first semester, but because we had built a relationship, she told me about it. She said this is what was going on, and I was there to be a support for her. At the end of this semester, she's off probation, and now she's looking at going into physical therapy school.
Developmental education helps accelerate college readiness through gateway courses in English and math.
We know that when students have to spend extra time taking non-credit classes, that can be frustrating. And so developmental education has been working over the past few years to really improve the scope and sequence of the classes that we offer. We're trying to find pathways that are faster towards graduation and towards completion.
These beginning students go into a math course and just have a terrible time. And so we addressed a lot of the needs of the students. There's a lot of resources associated with each one of the pathways. This is a way to profit all students, and that's what we wanted. And we wanted to get the students through as soon as we can. At most, I should say, 2 semesters.
we're really excited to start offering LEAP classes for developmental English students. And so the LEAP program was designed to help our students get through their developmental coursework faster. So they'll only be taking one class and they can get all their developmental coursework done in one semester.
The curriculum for all programs was thoughtfully evaluated and improved to focus on student success and completion.
We had to really look at our programs and in most cases trim them down. And there was a lot of classes that we thought were great classes and did add value, but they weren't exactly what students needed to articulate our programs with the university, so that we truly have a 2+2. So students can do 2 years at LCCC and 2 years at the university. It's unique to LCCC because we're the first ones to do it. We really had to refocus our programs to serve the student and so that they can ultimately get out into the workforce.
LCCC leads the state in linking our programs to seamlessly transfer to the university, putting students on the most efficient track to completion.
It's been a big success for us too because of the long-standing partnerships between the LCCC faculties in Albany County and Laramie County and the tight relationships between the administrators at both schools. We have had great success in articulating undergraduate education. There were 17 areas in which we were trying to articulate. I think by the end of August, we will have signed deals in all of the areas in which LCCC has programs. We're looking forward to doing the next 15 areas. It's just been really remarkable, and it's going to help all of our students, including those who are enrolled in high school, to see clear paths forward through LCCC to UW so they can complete bachelor's degrees in a number of exciting program areas. So we are thrilled. It's taken us a real commitment from LCCC administrators and particularly LCCC faculty to make this happen, and we are just grateful for all of that energy and devotion to undergraduate education.
The college is partnering with others in several innovative ways, such as concurrent enrollment with high school students in southeastern Wyoming.
Certainly it increases their retention. It helps them complete their agenda at the high school and understand that they can move right into the college environment very easily and successfully. So we see the instructors here on campus being very impressed with the quality of students they're getting from the high school and their completion rates. And then we also hope to let them know that they can continue with us as they move past graduation at the high school.
The college is committed to leading the way in the nationwide push for increased graduation rates.
All the community colleges have been working very hard on providing the kinds of opportunities where students can in fact complete their certificates or degrees, and we've exceeded that dramatically. So that by 2022, which was the time frame we set for that completion agenda to do 5% every year through that time frame, we should have no problem at least reaching that, and I'm sure we will exceed it based on the current effort that is being achieved.
LCCC is transforming students' lives through the power of inspired learning.
I have to recognize Josh Stein. Where are you at, Josh? Stand up for me. I don't think we even know how blessed we are to have a talent like Josh on staff here and what he does. So he spent a lot of time these last few months working on this, and so I appreciate it, Josh. And of course, Troy from the wonderful voiceovers, who's got that radio voice. But you know, we wanted to share that, really to recognize what you all are doing and that there's these short-term outcomes and long-term impacts on the college. And it's impressive to see the work. And And, you know, if our talent in the video is willing, I'm going to take this out on the road this fall and really start telling the story across the state and the community as well, because you're on the right track. And I thought I'd just follow up by hitting on just a few of the things in the video. So you hear this term high impact practices. And when we say that, what we mean are these are the practices that there's actually research behind that suggests it helps community college students get to completion. And we've really been rolling out a lot of these high impact practices. One of those that we started really full board this past year was a mandatory new student orientation. Sounds pretty simple, sounds pretty straightforward, but we know that early engagement with the student is so critical, especially for many of the students that we serve. And you saw the numbers were impressive in terms of how many students have gone through new employee orientation. But as we look at some of the early findings or early outcomes of that, it's pretty impressive. So looking at all new entering students in fall of 2013, only 54% of them actually persisted to the next semester. In last year, for those students that came in and went through the new student orientation, 71, almost 72% persisted to the next semester. We're getting them off on the right start. So where's Sarah Hannah? Sarah, where are you? Stand up for me. And everybody who's worked on our orientation program, she's probably down orienting people and everything. So let's give a round of applause for everybody who's actually figuring out. The other one we're really working on is a case management approach to advising, and we call it or use the term holistic advising, but it's intended to provide that constant, continuous support for students that helps to really augment all of the other supports that we have inside the classroom and outside in the classroom. And so advising has been critical. One of the things that we've learned, though, through research and even through our own experience is that the sooner we can get a student to declare a program, and the sooner we get them on a program pathway, the more likely they are to succeed in actually completing with that. And so we set a goal here that by the end of the first semester, all of our students will have chosen a program, whether it's a broad field program or whether it's a very discrete specific program. We need to get them on that path and to do that. And when you look at the change from last year, or from 2013, when we didn't have the advising program rolled out to last year in the new format, there's some pretty interesting results. Full-time degree-seeking students who entered in the fall of 2013, by the end of that semester, only 18% had declared an actual program and weren't undeclared or just gen ed doing their thing. 18%. By the end of last fall, 65%, almost 65% of those same student population declared a program. We're making that stride. Even in the part-time, look at 10%, almost 11%. To 33%. We're making that shift and we're getting those students to be on a program path early. So where's Catherine? Catherine, stand up for me. All the advisors in the room and people who helped with the advising program, they're with it too. Thank you for the work. You know, another one that we're working on right now is a mandatory student success course. So we know that courses and activities early on in a student's engagement with the college that get them to understand higher education, connect with the critical resources at the college, that build relationships with each other, develop an academic plan and set academic goals through career exploration. When we do that for students early in their time with us, they succeed at higher rates. So we've developed and actually implemented our Coles 1000 Intro to College Success course that rolled out last year pretty strong, but I know there's been some changes even to make it better this year. And while the results aren't as dramatic here, there is some early indications that we're in the right direction. So for example, for new degree-seeking students entering last fall, for those that participated in the Coles 1000 course, about 80% persisted to the next fall. For those that did, 77%. It's only a 3% difference, but it's the right trend. And we're seeing a similar trend with the percent of those that participated in Coles 1000 that declared a major, because that course is intended to help them declare a major. And I have to be cautious, although it's something I want to point out to watch. When you look at our part-time students, so part-time students are difficult to engage and difficult to get on a pathway and through a pathway. And these numbers are small, and I know Steve, my IR folks, they say be cautious when we roll these numbers out. But what's interesting is you look at part-time, for those that didn't participate, only 37% declared a major by the end of their first semester. For those that did, 50% did. Now, it's only a size of 16 students, so it's small, but it's something that we want to watch because I think we're on the right track. So my hat goes off to Karen Lane. Karen, stand up, and all the folks in the library, and all of you who taught at Point 1000 class, stand up for me, stand up. Everybody who taught at Point 5, come on. Thank you, Renee. Thank you. So developmental ed redesign, I'm really excited about this. You saw that our grades from last year, not so great with this, but we really haven't got the new stuff out yet, right? And I am incredibly excited about the hard work that our faculty have been doing in English and in reading, and what we've been doing with the Math Pathways project. So this fall, we're going to see 2 new approaches to college readiness. One through our literacy education and accelerated pathway, but our goal is to get students who aren't college ready through to college readiness in as little as 1 semester, right, Archie? 1 semester. And then our Math Pathways project. What a great work built off the Carnegie Foundation's work to get students on a relevant and an expeditious pathway to college mathematics. And so our Math Pathways, two and through, right? Where's Dean? Dean, are you in here? Where are you at? I'll be working too. There, 2 and through. So I'm really excited to see about that. Let's give a round of applause for all the faculty who have worked on these. Curriculum re-evolution. I really enjoyed watching this last year, and I mean this with all sincerity. The college and the academy probably went through the most significant curriculum review and overhaul that it's ever experienced in its history. And the undertaking was absolutely enormous, but the outcomes were incredibly impressive. When you think of some of the numbers, we had 141 new courses approved for the new general education program, 273 new course revisions process, 93 degree and certificate pathways essentially modified as part of this, 10 new degrees or new programs processed, and over 1,600 updates on curriculum in colleague alone. What an amazing undertaking to get our curriculum reviewed, updated, relevant, and designed for students to succeed. So Crystal, where are you? Crystal, stand up for me. Where are you hiding? Stand up. Stand up. There's Crystal Stratton. Sherry Harper, the Health Secretary of State. So let's give a round of applause for all of the faculty and staff that worked on this. And it's exciting because this work happened last year. We're not even going to see the results of this work until this year and the years forward. So, I mean, I think we're just at the cusp of what's happening. You heard our university articulation and the work we're doing there. I have been so proud of LCCC because we're not only pushing the other community colleges to do better, we're pushing the university to do better as well. And they're responding so favorably to us. Just last year alone, we had 21 new signed articulation agreements with the new program structure. Add that to the almost 20 that we have in place. We got 40 articulated pathways for our students. I like showing this, and I'll probably get in trouble because UW sort of embargoed this. It's a draft, you'll see. This is their articulation report card or dashboard that shows they've chosen these 17 high demand transfer program pathways. And then they're showing basically the completion by the community colleges. So Casper College has 7, Central Wyoming College has 3. Casper is interesting. You think they have UW on their campus. They have that stuff figured out. So none of you won't have that against me, will you? Central has 3, Eastern has 8, Northwest has 5, Northern Wyoming Community College District, Sheridan and Gillette 2, Western Wyoming College 5, and guess who's got 12? And these are just those 17. They don't reflect the ones that we've been working on in art, that we've worked on and have signed in history, and all the other ones we've worked on with other institutions. So everybody worked on an articulation agreement this last year. Raise your hand for me. Everybody who did it. All right, let's recognize them for that hard work. So partnerships. So I debated whether or not to share these data because I know there's been a lot of history with this. But one of the things I wanted to stress about partnerships and what we're doing is the role that we're playing in trying new things. We know, what do they say, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting the same result. Somebody once said that to achieve things you've never achieved before, you have to do things you've never done before. And so innovation has to be critical to the heart of what we're trying to accomplish here. And last year we tried that with Laramie County School District 2 and tried to find ways to get more high school students successful in math. Now, granted, I have to share that our approach to this was a little bit different than on campus, the sequencing and all that good stuff. And so they're not perfect comparators. But what we found through that partnership and that relationship was that we aligned our curriculum and we found ways to get more students through intermediate algebra, developmental approach to algebra, and college algebra in ways we've never done before. So the results are early, and I think there's still work to do there, but really, really, really impressive effort in trying something new. So my hats off to all the math faculty and Mary Ellen and the outreach folks who did that. Thank you. Join me in recognizing them. And then the big one, the last one, and I love sharing this, as you heard in the video, the trustees have set a goal. We're going to increase the number of degrees and certificates that our students earn by 5% every year through 2022. 5% doesn't sound like a lot, but when you look at that line graph, that means by 2022, we're going to be looking at credentials earned over 1,100. So that's a big jump. But what's impressive, when we started, in the first year where we really rolled it out, we blew that goal out of the water. And then last year, and we didn't think we would do it again, and we did it again. And we still surpassed our goal. If we stay on the trajectory just that we're on now, we'll likely hit our goal of 2017 by doing nothing different. But as I said, think about all the things that you're implementing that are just going to start hitting the ground this fall and what we do there. So once we get out to 2017, 2018, we're going to have to start working a little bit more to stay in this track. But boy, it's nice when you can start out ahead, isn't it? It really is. And you are certainly starting out ahead. So that's a 25% increase in our completions since 2011, 2012. Impressive work, very impressive work. So I'll conclude there. You guys are doing wonderful work. For those of you that are new to the campus, welcome. You are joining some amazing people on this campus. For those of you who have been here, who have been working hard, thank you for what you're doing and what you're going to continue to do in the future. I hope you have a wonderful academic year and a great start to the fall. I look forward to seeing you around campus and hearing the great things that you're working on. So thank you. Have a wonderful year. I am told that I tried to finish early. There's just a couple of housekeeping announcements I think that Terry wants to provide.